Nashville, it has 5 times membership, so it has 500 active members.
500 active members.
And 80 staff.
And 80 staff. And this one has got, and this church here has got 100 active members.
And 20 staff.
And 20 staff. So 100 active members and 20 staff. If my math serves me right, that's 120 people. And I think our metropolitan area is pretty much, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times the size of Nashville. Looks like in about 2 weeks, the occupancy of this building could be 200, 300, 400 people. And I don't think I want to go and count them. And I don't think we really want the city to be in the business of counting parishioners. And I don't think we want the residents in the neighborhoods to have to be calling some enforcement. And so I really, to be honest with you, I think that the self-imposed limitation you put on there of 170 is meaningless, to be honest with you. The non-exclusive right with the post office, I mean, sometimes you can't park at the post office anyway. Go there next week. And the post office is probably going to be parking on your property rather than you parking on their property. So I'm not quite sure I go along with that non-exclusive on here. The idea that you're going to restripe parking spaces to make them smaller so we can get squeeze more cars in there, I think it's fine if we all go to smart cars. But since I'm not planning on selling my car, and I don't think many other people are either, I don't think squeezing cars in is what we had in mind when we put in parking regulations on here, Woody.
But all the code, they meet the code. They meet the code.
Woody, I don't think taking and doing away with green space is another thing we had in mind when we went ahead and put in parking regulations. If anything, we have been encouraging people to put more green space in parking regulations. And you know, you've heard me say over and over again in this forum here, and I think that is one of the worst intersections in the whole city of Sandy Springs. And whoever put that intersection together had a grudge against humanity. And I really question the additional traffic, the lack of parking. Are you telling me we have to have security in the church because people want to come in, and I can't walk in that church because I don't have a security card for that church, and yet it's a non-traditional church, and we should have non-traditional rules to go along with non-traditional churches. This doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. I went to church on Sunday night, and if you wanted to come with me Sunday night, you could come into church without signing in, without having to pass any security tests, without having anybody frisk you or go through any detectors like we have here. And I've got a real problem against this thing, Woody.
But most major churches have security. You may not know it, but most major churches have security. And
well,
in this
Woody,
situation, the only reason they have security is because they want to make sure that they are, that it is a safe environment for their parishioners, and it is a safe environment for the people around it.
Woody, I was the head usher at Peachtree Presbyterian for 15 years. We had no security.
Well, I'm sure that, you know, we could think of all kind of different examples for where there is security and where there's not.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Mayor, if Mr. McGinnity or anyone else would like to make any comments, I've already made one, but I had some other questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, my question is factual, and then I would like to follow up with my comments since we are in the discussion area. And my question of Mr. Dogrel is that a factual question, and this regards the the title that you have recently looked at. Is it true that there is no exclusive easement that has been granted to the church or its predecessors in title that would grandfather the 41 non-exclusive easement parking places?
I'll answer that 2 ways. First of all, the whole concept of grandfathering vaporizes when you're here on a new zoning application. You're not grandfathered because you're here on a new application. So that's gone. As soon as you're here, now, if you deny it, they're grandfathered to whatever uses existed out there. as it stands. But if they come in for an application, they can't say on the one hand, I want to hold on to what I have by grandfather, and on the other hand, I want to see what else I can scoop up. You can't do that. You have to take it as it stands. So that's the first piece. It isn't grandfather. The second piece is there is not an exclusive easement. Page 9 of the package that you got from us is easement agreement number 1, and the last paragraph on page 9 says easement herein granted is a non-exclusive perpetual easement. It is non-exclusive. Now, there is a provision in this easement whereby an exclusive easement could be granted at some point if they go through and do what is required. But we ran title to make sure that it has not ever been recorded. It's not part of the application. So as it stands right now, there is no evidence before you of an exclusive easement. There is no evidence in the chain of title, and you have a sworn affidavit from a title abstractor with 12 years experience who's run 30,000 titles that she ran every single book, deed book, from the point where this original easement was granted to the present, and there's never been an exclusive easement granted to park. So they do not have the exclusive right to park on this, either as it's presently configured, 25 spaces or 41 spaces if you allow them to reconfigure. They don't have the right to exclusivity to that. So those spaces under your ordinance, section 18.2, cannot be counted toward their required parking place. They cannot. And you can't look at this and say it's grandfathered because you're a new application.
Let me have Mr. Galloway's on that point, and you can ask more questions, but I'd like, let's put this point to bed and see where we go on this.
I have not run title on this, but I will tell you that there is a non-exclusive easement on the site, but it is a permanent non-exclusive easement. There are 51 spaces on site. The requirement is 46 spaces. What staff did was they analyzed the needs of the site based on a lot of different factors, and they came up with their recommendation. But they also did look at the easement, so the attorney looked at the easement and concluded there was adequate permanence to that to indicate that it could be counted.
Could we hear our staff on that again too? So we
Sure,
can,
and then I have some quick follow-up. Okay,
Mr.
comments.
McGlinda, do you have a comment to make regarding
Well, we
this
do. I want to
conference?
clear up one thing, excuse me, Nancy, is the issue of the parking. We all recognize they have an easement. We recognize it's not exclusive. Our ordinance doesn't require that there be off premises additional parking to be exclusive.
Okay, I thought there was a 20% rule according to section 19.3.6.